So about a week ago, I did what everybody else seems to be doing, and I watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which in a year of Spider-Man and Indiana Jones was my most hyped for movie this whole year. As a fan of the FNAF series, and as a fan of movies of course, I was really looking forward to this, and I gotta say, you're being too harsh on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Prepare to have your mind blown.
Alright, look, I'll be honest. Is it the best movie ever made? No, it definitely has plenty of flaws, which I will get into later in the video. But man, this movie was just so much fun. I think out of every movie this whole year, this has got to be a top 3 in terms of how much I just enjoyed watching this movie. And despite how much I actually enjoyed the movie, I can admit it has flaws. So throughout this video, I'll tell you the things I enjoyed, the things I didn't, where I want a sequel to go, and I will plead my case to defend this movie. And I will answer the question as to why not just the critics, but you are being too harsh on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Alright, on that note, let's start off with the things I enjoyed about this movie, and I'll get the obvious one out of the way, the animatronics. The Jim Henson Company absolutely cooked with the looks of these animatronics. With a mix of puppeteers, people inside the costume, and robotics, the characters not only look amazing, but they just move so nicely. I mean, sure, they look a bit clunky, but at the end of the day, translating this concept from game form to movie form, it was kind of the best bet, and I think they looked great. The music was fantastic, starting with the opening song to the Living Tombstone song at the end. Them playing the Living Tombstone song was my #1 wish for this whole movie, and the second I heard the little you know, the bit at the start, I just had the biggest smile on my face, and that's after smiling throughout this whole movie. Also, MatPat showed up and he even said the line.
You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day.
Thought it was breakfast.
Some people say that, but you know, it's just a theory.
Are you being paid by the word?
I was never really a huge MatPat watcher, but I understand his importance in this franchise, and I really love the fact that he made a cameo. Next up, the acting was so great. Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lail, Piper Rubio, and the great Matthew Lillard were all fantastic in this movie and were perfectly cast versions of their game counterparts. One thing I see people complaining about in this movie is the overall tone. Would I have liked to see a more horror-led FNAF movie? Absolutely. But here, it definitely leaned more into the comedic aspects, which made their periodic scary moments have much more of an impact when they actually showed up.
Was that the bite of 87?
I feel like the vibe of this movie, while not necessarily sticking to the vibe of the original game, stuck the landing in terms of translating game to movie, which, as we can all agree to, is never really an easy thing to do. That was just a slice of the things I enjoyed from this movie, but it's hard not to look at it from an actual filmmaking standpoint, so here's the stuff I wasn't quite fond of.
FNAF at Freddy's, that's where I wanna go. FNAF at Freddy's, underneath the mistletoe, yeah. If there's a FNAF there.
Completely ignoring my personal enjoyment of the film, technically wise, it's not a very good movie. The writing is sloppy, some of the dialogue was weird, the pacing was uneven, and there were some really cringe moments. I know me saying you're being too harsh on this movie, then listing all of the bad things and basically agreeing with the haters is going against the whole point of the video, but still, I liked more than I disliked. I do wish it was scarier as a whole. Limiting the scares definitely made them more effective when they happened, but I probably would have preferred they lent more into the horror side of things rather than the comedy. I'm also not too beat up about Markiplier being in it, but I do wish he was there, just because I understand he's completely busy with his own movie, Iron Lung. But throughout the whole movie, I was kind of waiting for him to show up just because of his impact on the FNAF universe, I guess. Finally, and this is a really silly little detail that I wish they kind of lent more into, but I wish they used the FNAF mechanic of sitting in the security office and looking at the cameras more often. It happened a handful of times, and from what I remember, there's nothing like the similar game mechanic where like he checks the camera and then Freddy's there and then he looks to a different camera. Oh yeah. And then he looks back and, oh, Freddy's gone. Where's he gone? You know, something like that. I definitely would have liked to see that being paid tribute to more. I know it might not have made great content in terms of the movie, but like, I think showing that would have been pretty cool.
Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I wanna be. Five Nights at Freddy's.
Now, Matthew Lillard has stated that he signed on for 3 movies total. This one and then 2 sequels. Just 5 days after its release, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie grossed $130 million at the worldwide box office. Its budget was $20 million. That's insane. And on top of that, it's now Blumhouse's biggest opening ever and is on track to being one of the highest grossing horror movies of all time. In fact, it is the highest grossing October release horror movie of all all time, which is Halloween. Oh, Halloween's in October, and you're telling me this is the highest grossing Halloween movie released at Halloween time. That's an achievement. So yeah, I definitely think it's safe to say we will see this trilogy being played out. But it's kind of hard to say what a second movie would be like. Are they going to follow the second game as a movie, or are they going to do it somewhat original like the first movie? I don't know. None of us do. Well, I mean, the writers do, but like none of us know. None of us fans know. But apparently a second movie is already in very, very early stages of pre-production, and it's going to loosely follow the game, which I mean, this one loosely followed the first game, so then the next one will loosely follow the second game. So awesome. I hope we have like a 2 to 5 year time gap between the first and the sequel, and it features the toy and the withered animatronics. I feel like that's the best bet for them to do. I'm excited to see where Mike, William, Abby, and Vanessa, the love of my life, go next, as they were some of my favorite parts of this movie. Like I mentioned, a sequel is apparently in the works, though it's not confirmed. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see in the Five Nights at Freddy's sequel. Given how well this movie is performing, I will eat my entire arm if we don't get a sequel. Mark my words.
Have you seen the new FNAF?
And there you go. I hope you now know why I really loved the Five Nights at Freddy's movie and why I think you're being too harsh on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I can totally see why you might not like this movie, both as a fan or not. So if you disagree with the opinions that I gave you, well then that's perfectly fine. Films are some of the most subjective things in the world. So as it turns out, you might not believe this. If you're on the website formerly known as Twitter, you won't believe this. You're allowed to dislike a movie somebody likes, and vice versa. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review of the FNAF movie. Sorry, this review wasn't as structured as some of my other reviews. I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk about it because I honestly really liked it, and I just wanted to throw all my thoughts out there. If you want more FNAF movie related videos from me, let me know. I would definitely be happy to do so. Let me know what you thought of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Let me know what you thought of this video. Leave a like if you're new, subscribe if you're new, do all that lovely stuff. I really appreciate that. But for now, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being yourself. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.